Okay.
All right, we're with Sam Fisher today from the QB Throwdown Camps, Throw to Win. How you doing today, Sam?
I'm doing well. How are you, buddy?
Doing excellent. Thanks for asking. All right, so let's get down to it. We had another QB Throwdown Camp. The last one that you did was held in Vegas. This one was in Simi Valley in the LA area. You had two different divisions, right? You had the youth group and the high school, right?
Mhm.
You had a huge turnout. About how many kids? It seemed like there was 1,000. I know that's hyperbole, but there was a huge turnout. How many kids did you have there?
We had for the junior high, we had 53 quarterbacks and about 50 receivers, so over 100 for the youth. And then we had about I think we got to write about 90 quarterbacks for the high school and about 80 for the receivers. So it was we hit right around like 250, little over 250, which was kind of the mark we were at in Vegas. And for the place that we did it at, it fit perfect. It was pretty much right where we were trying to get. So it couldn't have asked for better numbers. Really happy with the turnout.
Yeah, you had two huge fields for the kids to run around and do everything that they needed to do and break it down. So let's break it down. Let's do the youth division first. So what classifications were in that group? So was it up to like 2024 or?
We had seventh and eighth grade, which is the 26 and 25 class, and that was that we just stayed with those two. I That's such an interesting age because you get the big 14-year-old and you can get a really small 12-year-old. So the spectrum's interesting because there's just a lot of development happening. So I try to maintain just those two classes and emphasize just junior high before we add on to the next high school class. So we kept it at those two, which I thought was just perfect with the amount that showed up and the development that kind of had the range of development that was there.
No, I've been around you enough. I know you're even keel with everybody. You're the same. And so I would expect nothing different from the youth group. Did you do anything different schematically or at the camp that was different with the youth group than what you did with the high school, or did you put them through the same regiment?
Usually I always have the youth start first. So I try to make a duplicate where it's the same as a high school. And if there's any funky things that happen from the junior high, I'll make a quick adjustment going into the high school one. Luckily it was smooth. What we did was have 7 different coaches from all over California come out for this, and they were amazing. I can talk a little bit more about those guys because they were a huge part of it. And we just had kind of stations where you would start Group A, Group B, and so on and so forth, and you would move counter clockwise every 20 minutes, and every station would be a little bit different of a technique and challenge and drop back and footwork and type of throw. So that's the way I wanted to do it for the high school. I hadn't done in Vegas. I just kind of kept everyone together with the same coach and just changed the format every 20 minutes. This one I actually let the kids move to each coach. And looking back at it, it's probably how I'm going to move forward because I love that they were able to get a different look, different type of coaching, different, just all around. You get more out of it because you get a little bit more information from different perspectives, and it worked great. I did the same exact thing for the high school, and that worked. That was just as smooth, and the transitions from start to finish were great. So yeah, I really didn't have too much of a difference in how I was formatting the two events.
Okay. And then so I know you put the kids through 7 different stations. What were the 7 stations for all the quarterbacks?
So the first one was quick game. That was under center. So talking about 3 on time, not a hitch, catch and throw out a gun. The second station was 5-step under center, and that was on time and with the hitch. So what I wanted to do is kind of go straight from like quick, get the ball out to now we got to work some 5 steps and work some progressions and understand a little bit more of concepts and what we're looking at. And then from there, we went to a 5-step under center play action. So everything had some type of action out of it. From there, we move on to off-platform throws. And that was just, I told my coach there, Austin Carter Samuels, who was a Missouri offensive guy. Now he does quarterback coaching in Santa Cruz. I said, dude, just get crazy. And I didn't have anything other than I want to see these guys challenged with their off-platform throws, get their feet going one way, get their hands going the other way, and he just tore it up. He did so many drills that I'm going to steal from just that camp. From there, we went over to gun play action. So it was all gun. It was with Renee Medina, who was a OC at Long Beach Poly. He's also a quarterback coach out there in the South Bay area. So everything was from gun, but there was an action. So it was like a play action with like a drop. And then from there, Coach Seth Osransky, who was at College of the Canyons, he's a quarterback coach there. It was all RPOs. So it was run, pass, option, reads. It was getting the ball out quick. It was reading defensive ends, reading flat defenders. And then from there, we went to more pro-style rollout stuff with Brian Bennett. Brian, he was an old, Oregon Ducks quarterback, played in the CFL for years, just absolute stud. And he was doing all under center rollout stuff, which was really challenging because there was a lot of these kids don't go under center anymore. So it was just great to kind of throw some wrench and challenge them with things they don't do often. And so I felt like we really kind of got from one side to the other, the full spectrum of footwork and technique. And like I said, it couldn't have been any smoother. It was awesome.
With the junior high group, who were some of the kids that stood out at the camp?
Ryan, I'm telling you, man, and I said this at the camp, it was the most talent I've ever seen that age group. I mean, there had to have been 30. I only took 10 for the final throwdown, but there had to have been 30 dudes where I was just, I can't believe these are junior high kids throwing. And a lot of these guys are throwing the high school ball right now. So, I mean, there's so many guys. I mean, the guy who won, his name, Steele Pizzella, who's out of the Simi Valley, is actually his backyard out there in Simi Valley. He's an absolute stud, super twitchy athlete, throws the ball 50-plus yards, throwing the big ball. There's another kid named Seth Shig, lefty, who can absolutely rip it. Tag Harrison out there, future elite, it's awesome. Hussein Longstreet out there in Long Beach is a stud. I mean, there were some guys from Nevada that were amazing, guys from Arizona, guys from Florida, New York. The talent pool for that level was insane. And we knew it right off the bat. We had the kids line up and just kind of got loose and warmed up their feet and their arm. And all the coaches looked at each other and were like, holy crap, what have we got ourselves into today? The talent level was just so awesome. That's
cool. So let's go to the high school level. Same thing. So I think you ended up having 10 guys. I mean, and they were all studs, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But 10 guys in the final. For those that weren't there, so you put each one, so you give them a task in the final throwdown, and they have to keep going. And then either they get it right and they keep going, or if they get it wrong, they're kicked out of the final competition.
Oh yeah.
Who were some of the guys in the final 10? I don't expect you to remember them all because
I can get pretty close. Finn Collins ended up winning it, which was hilarious because obviously he's a guy that I've trained since he was a kid, and I've always told him I'm never going to let you win this thing. But he's gotten runner up 3 years in a row, and it was pretty cool to see him actually earn it. He was most consistent guy there. He's been throwing out of his mind over the last 6 months, obviously going to Arizona State here in the next month to enroll early. But Zach Siskowitz always looks sharp. Tyler Voss from Valencia was in it. He has leveled up since I've seen him, and as far as size and arm strength, he looks fantastic. Mikey Zelli from Grace Brethren put on a show. He'd been kind of, off the radar for a while because he's kind of rehabbed some stuff. But he came out there, I hadn't seen him throw in months, and he absolutely spun the crap out of the ball. Deakin Hill was in the final, Wisconsin commit. He looked great as usual. Kid from Reno or Vegas, Ryder Ruiz, who competed in the Vegas one, came out and was consistent all day long, looked super great. Micah Alejado, the Bishop Gorman next guy up, who looks like Tua. He's a freshman. He's going to be special. He actually he's from Oahu, and when I did the throwdown a few years ago, he won the junior high division when I did it, and it was just good to have him back and see where he's at with his development. And I wasn't surprised at all of how well that ball's jumping out of his hand. Darius Curry, the young up-and-comer freshman who's at St. Bernard's, who's going to be an absolute dog. So, I mean, those are just few of the guys that were in the finals that, like, you know, you had seniors and you had freshmen. And it's amazing right now, Ryan, because you get these freshmen coming up who are competing with these seniors that the spectrum isn't that far off, man. They're all kind of in the same boat right now.
Right. And I think Caden made it a couple rounds in with all that too.
Monza from Orange County, he's an absolute stud. Forgot about him. I mean, that kid, he's got one of my favorite strokes in LA. I think he's just as smooth as it gets.
I like Ryder's game a lot too. You mentioned him. He's that dual threat. Very impressed with him. So excited to see his growth. All right. So as you mentioned, Finn won it. How much of a hard time did you give him?
You can't say Finn's name without just laughing after you say his name. Like, it's just hard not to laugh when you mention Finn.
Yeah, he's a fun guy to be around, no doubt. So I think he's going to be somebody that his teammates in college are gonna love being around him. So he's going to be somebody that's easy to fight for and work hard for, on the field. So
I agree.
So you put everybody through the different, and you already said that there's really not that big of a drop off between. And you also coach kids privately. I think I asked you this last time we talked. What are some of the things that you're seeing coming up that if you had that magic wand and you could fix something that kids even early on into the high school level that just drives you crazy seeing these kids? I know one thing you harped on at the camp was somebody throwing a hitch in something when they weren't supposed to, or something like that, so I'm just using that as an example. Maybe that's it, but is there something with your training that you see these kids do over and over again, and it's like, look, if you just did this, if you just listened to me, you're going to be so much further ahead in your progress? Is there anything like that you're seeing from these kids?
Yeah, I think, and I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but there's this trend going around that we see that these kids are more about trying to look good instead of looking fast. And the quarterback position is all about processing and moving quickly. And it drives me crazy when I see guys take slow drops and everything looks really slow and it's smooth and it looks like butter. But at the end of the day, I'm like, your ass got tackled 3 seconds ago. That's not real. That looks great on air. That might look good at a throwing session. But what really drives me crazy is just the trend of I want to look pretty, but actually not move in a way that's actually real. And I think you can do both. I think if you're trained properly, you can still stay smooth, but be under the correct tempo. So I was on those guys whenever I saw that at the camp. And I don't know, I was yelling at guys I didn't even know. But I want them walking away knowing, listen, man, I don't care how good the ball comes out. You got to move. You got to work in a phone booth, and you may have 3 seconds on a good day. You may not, but you got to be able to work in and out of problems under 3 seconds and be able to problem solve and process a lot of bad things happening. So when I see slow tempo or I see lackadaisical tempo because they want to stay smooth and fluid, that gets me going real quick, and I'll just turn into a crap talker real quick.
I've seen you do that. So you're on the grind every day. So the camps are just kind of I would put it like a tentpole to what you're doing with the every day. Because it's not just something like you're doing this once every now and again, but you're working with the kids all the time. For those that are out there that may want to fly in, get a session with you, or they're in the area and they want to try to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
So my website is on my social media pages. You can set up an appointment, and a lot of guys will just either contact me through there. I think I have my contact in my Instagram. So there's a few different avenues of finding me. I do a pretty good job. If I don't check my DMs daily, I'll probably get back within the next few days. And so yeah, I don't feel like there's a lot of guys that fall through the cracks when they do reach out, especially, out of town guys, because they're pretty serious and they're diligent about kind of connecting. And so yeah, you can find me through Instagram, Twitter, website, throwtowin.com. Apply for one of the programs, and we set up a call time, and we just figure out what you're looking for and how I can help you.
Better man than me. I can't keep up with the DMs. It's too
Dude, man,
much.
you got way more kids working. There seems like there's 20 of you sometimes, man. You don't stop. I'm extremely impressed with how you and your efficiency with getting these interviews in, man. It's really, really awesome.
Well, I mean, for me at your camp, because there was so much talent there, it was like a college football recruiter having Christmas. I think I got 17 interviews in a short amount of time. Anyway, there was a ton of talent there, so it made it really easy. But yeah, I mean, I rolled through, got a lot of them, and again, it was real easy. So we talked about, some of the stuff that you're doing, how you're working with the kids, where they can find you. Do you have? I know we're getting into the holiday break. What's next for you? Are you doing another QB throwdown camp, or is that still kind of all up in the air for now?
I plan on doing one next year. It's funny. It's like, this is my 5th one. And I feel like after this one, I felt like, this has kind of become its own kind of entity, and something that kids are getting, excited and enthusiastic about. And so I'm going to start trying to really put a little more energy into maybe doing 2 or 3 in a year, and trying to find ways of getting out of LA. I love traveling and giving kids opportunities in other areas that are looking to compete. So I really want to try. I keep having babies, so that makes it a little tough. I got number 3 due at the end of March. So like spring's going to be just, I've got a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and now I got this. So, time is not easy to attain right now, but I really want to start making this kind of like a 2 or 3 time, almost like a quarterly thing, because I feel like I've kind of got my groove and the formula of how I can do it. It's still a lot of work to put these on. But I think it's kind of become its brand in its own way, and which is exciting. I didn't know what this was. It all started just, hey, I want to put a competition 5 years ago in LA and see what happened. And now it's kind of turned into this thing where the numbers look there and the talent's there and the coaches are there. And it's become a really cool event with no political agenda, no strings attached. It's show up, show out, kind of a bare knuckle type of camp, man. I don't have a lot of, glitz and glamour about it. My wife told me I should probably do that better, but I think the price of admission is the competition. If I'm an athlete, that's really what it's about. And I think that's what these kids are really excited for.
I would back you on that. I think, one, I saw it when we were in Vegas on the last one, that just the amount of talent and where all was coming from, that this was something special. And if this camp kind of cemented that for you. But I was one camp ahead of you with your building on that. So I think it's great that you're going to build upon that. At the Vegas camp, you had the wrestling belt as the trophy, and this one, yeah, the hammer of the gods, Thor's hammer as the trophy. I mean, if that's not the glitz and glamour, where else can you go to get that trophy? I mean, look, we all grew up and we played, sports, and you get this trophy, that trophy. Maybe you have them, maybe you don't. Maybe your parents threw something away. Nobody's throwing a wrestling belt championship trophy away, or a Thor hammer trophy away, right? I mean, that's something that, my great grandfather went to a throw to win camp 300 years ago, and he got this Thor hammer. What does that mean? I don't know. That was so long ago, but you got the hammer, right? So yeah, I mean, I think there's some stuff to that, and for me, the way you have it set up, you have this, get them to warm up, the 7 stations. You're trying to get them outside their comfort zone and doing real game scenarios and giving them multiple opportunities, not only to learn, but to perfect the drill, and then go on and compete in the final, where, it's across the board. It's not just, hey, this is our score, this is our evaluation, we're done, this is the winner. Is all right, these are the guys that we identified. We're going to give you one last chance to put everything that you worked on all day together. Everybody's watching. Let's see what you can do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's perfect. I mean, that's, other than, pyrotechnics and I don't know if you can get Def Leppard or something like that, Molly Crew out for something, have to make it a night event for that. But yeah, I think everything else works But Sam,
Oh,
you
appreciate
did a
it, man.
great job with the camp. It was fun to cover. It was exciting to see all those kids, especially as you kind of mentioned, where we're at with everything in California and getting to see those kids in action and the joy. I mean, you can go back and see, the different interviews. They're smiling, they're happy. They just want to compete and they want to show what they've been working on and doing. So, for all of us and for the kids, thank you for holding the camp.
Oh,
It was needed, man.
I appreciate you saying that, and I'm in the same group with you guys. I needed it for my own spirit, and it was probably the best part was just parents saying those things. It wasn't necessarily about taking home the trophy. It was just, hey, thank you for doing this. And we're all waiting, man. We're all trying to stay optimistic out here. It's been obviously a very difficult year, and if I can help make something feel like normal for even a day and get these guys back into a competitive nature, that's really that was really what I got the most out of. Just driving home afterward was like, man, felt like 2019.
Yeah,
It
right,
felt good.
exactly. Yeah,
So,
100%. All right, Sam, I appreciate your time today. Thank you again, not only for having me out there, for taking your time and run everything down from the camp and talking about the kids, giving them another opportunity to shine. And I look forward to the next camp and wherever you may host it. I want to be there.
you will be there, man. You're always one of the first calls, man. And Ryan, I appreciate all you do and everything that the time that you put in, man. You work hard, and you can tell that you're passionate about it, man. So I really do appreciate what you do as well.
All right, Sam, I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.